Hello, everybody. I am William of LOTW Studios. You may remember previously that we did an interview with some of the contestants of LEGO Masters Season 3 prior to the airing of Episode 1. Since then, we've been doing post-elimination interviews with the contestants as well. In this episode, we speak to weeks 2 and 3 extinct contestants, Eddie and Asiza and Kerry and Patrick. And also as well, we do a special interview with the surprise contestants who were announced at the end of Episode 3 as well. Because my schedule has been rather hectic over the past few weeks, I've only just now had a chance to go through some of the earlier interviews and edit them and compile them into the video that you see today. There will be another episode with some of the more recent existing contestants next week, and hopefully you'll be seeing these videos come out a bit more regularly. But without further ado, hope you enjoy the interviews, and yeah, here they are. Hello. Yeah, well, just before I start with the questions, I wanted to start off just by saying I like the whole time watching both the episodes, your vibe is so positive, and it's just it's such a joy to watch. I really love both your builds, and I guess my first question would be because I imagine when you're working making builds at home, a lot of your creativity is coming through working the limitations of what you've got. You have your box of Lego, going through the boxes of Lego and working with what you got. What is it like from going from that to essentially just being given all the Lego you could possibly have? I imagine that being kind of scary.
Well, I'll be honest. For me, it was actually, I'll say, flat out difficult. You can only see a little bit behind me. Basically, I'm sitting pretty much in front of my entire Lego collection right now, down to single 1x1 tiles to my biggest bricks to base plates. I know exactly where everything is. I know exactly how many I have of what. I know all of this stuff. You get into that brick pit and it's like, what's what? I have no clue. You have every color of every element of every shape and size, and you're running back and forth. You're the table's not huge that you're working on. Again, I work sitting down. Like right now, I'm sitting where I normally build. I have an entire floor in front of me. I'm not limited by space. On that set, you have a table that's of a certain size, so you can't just sit there with a pile of Lego here, a pile of Lego there. Right next to me, I have what I call my swoosh bucket, and that is literally a giant, I don't know, 4 or 5 gallon tote full of Legos that I just slosh through and find the piece that I need at any given time. You don't have that option there. You have to go think about what you need, possibly go through a key and look at, try to find where it is, go get it, try not to trip over a camera or another contestant to get back to the table. It was work, man. It was work.
And we definitely had to have a conversation between the first and second build about our workspace.
Yeah.
I was like, we've got way too much. We need to start small and go back and get more. We can't hoard. It felt like for a minute. I was like, I feel like we have all of that. And I don't think we should. We need to put some of this back. So there is that desire to have it all, because it does seem like it is an unending amount and source. And I think my favorite part was the diversity, especially with color. It's kind of a difficult thing to find those unique colors and those pieces in unique colors. So I mean I think that part was a positive, and it really stretched your imagination as to what you can do and what you wanted to use. But
taught you how to problem solve real quick.
Yeah, we definitely over gathered was
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say though, obviously with both builds that you ended up making, I think there's so much of your personality and creativity, it came out of that, and it was really they're really great builds. But yeah, I guess my next question would be something that I've asked previous contestants in the past as well, is when it comes to just being so in your everyday life, how often are you just constantly thinking about looking at things and thinking, how you'd build that in Lego? Is that something that's always on your mind?
Yes and no. Of course, day to day, and I would imagine just like anybody, I have kids. I work a full-time job. I would love Lego to be on my mind 24/7, but no, not always possible. Just kind of like Asiza said earlier, I'm inspired every day by the most random things. It could be a conversation, it could be a song lyric, it could be a conversation I overheard two people I don't even know having. It could be a car that I saw earlier on the road. It kind of just depends. So when you go into a build, depending on what the build is too, because like for instance, like I said, since the show, I believe both me and Asiza have we've decided to start building up a little more, should I say, stepping out of our box of the things that we normally do. So you're drawing new inspiration. So for instance, myself, yeah, I am actually thinking about a build at the moment that is going to commemorate one of our historic buildings here in town. And yeah, that's heavy on my mind. So it's like, you know, you drive by it I drive by it every day on my way to work. You try to look at the details. I downloaded some pictures of it from Google to really start looking around. And then of course you have to make moves. You might have to order some parts or, you know, gather some bricks that you don't have to put those things together. So those for me, time-wise, end up in much more timely or time-consuming projects, but definitely stuff that I'm looking forward to doing.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, it must have been 12:30 last night. Some inspiration just hit me and I pulled out my phone reminder notepad and just started writing down some build ideas. So I try to capture them as they come, and normally it is about the time that I'm going to bed and everything else is quiet and done. So yeah, I do, you know, whether it's, like I said, I spend a lot of time with my kid, you know, there's tons of inspiration there. You know, I spend a lot of time just out in nature, and there's tons of inspiration there. So I try to, you know, just in my mind conceptualize really what would that take, you know, if I wanted to build this thing. I'm a tea enthusiast, so you know, I'm working on making a super fancy, like, functional tea service set. There's a lot of different weird intricate things, I won't go into it, but yeah, I mean, it's really just a matter of capturing those thoughts in the moment. So I wouldn't say everything I see is something that inspires, but the things that inspire me, yeah, most certainly. To say, I wonder if I could do that in brick is something that crosses my mind quite frequently, and I just try to jot those down. So I have a longer list of builds that I want to do than I have time right now, but I know that that won't always be the case. I mean, work is always work, but my kid's getting older, a little more self-sufficient, you know, and just scheduling time, you know, being intentional with our build time, which is something Ed and I have talked about quite a bit lately. Okay, you know, we're just going to do it, because if we don't make the time, there won't be the time. So,
and we're definitely going to make the time, because at some point there will be a Lego Masters All-Stars and we will be back for it. So
that's why one of the things I really love to kind of hear about is just like how people come up with, I guess, their stories. Because I mean, I you know, I think a big part of, like, especially I think with your dynamic was like, especially like I think the last with the you know, the Jurassic World sort of theme, the one that you did where it was like the story about your sister, you know, sort of what, you know, watching the Jurassic Park, and like I really love hearing like the way that people come up with, like, yeah, there's a sparks of inspiration, like, and that's what like storytelling is about, isn't it? It's just like you never know what's gonna kind of be the thing that's gonna like suddenly hit you and think like, oh yeah, that's an idea for a story, you know.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, it comes, you never know. You're never looking for it. That's at least for me, it seems like that. You're never really looking for it, but when you see it, you know. And just like Asiza said, I myself, I take pictures of what inspires me. So if I see something or I hear something, I'll get on my voice recorder and say, hey, remember this for a build, blah, blah, blah. And usually try to execute it. And that in itself is fun. Just the challenge of, hey, I have this idea. I kind of equate it to people who can draw. I've always been jealous of people who can draw really well. You have a vision in your head and you're able to use your hand to create that image and make it tangible. And Lego, to me, is the exact same thing. When you have just an idea in your head and you get it in your mind that you're going to build this thing, and you come up with the parts and you actually build it, and it comes out actually looking like you actually imagined it, it's such a satisfying feeling. It's kind of indescribable to me. That's why I think I love Lego so much.
Yeah, it's just a different medium.
There's not too many ways that
paint,
you get
some
that.
people use pencil. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's such a brilliant way of describing it. I think I was actually speaking to John and Xavier previously about because they're sort of saying sort of similar thing about like how it is, it's essentially like drawing, but you've got something that a physical like 3D thing there. And again, it's a thing of like if you're not someone who's like into like can really draw that way. I'm not someone who likes drawing that much, but being able to kind of create something, even if you're not drawing it, is really great. Kind of yeah, just having something there that was in your head that's like actually there.
From idea to fruition, it's the most satisfying feeling. So I think that's one of the things that definitely keeps me enthralled with it.
So I got one more question. Also, I want to kind of be sort of fairly quick because of the time, but and actually that kind of goes with the question actually. So obviously with the 12-hour like sort of time frame that you've got, I kind of get the sort of sense as well, like when it comes to doing stories and stuff, like when you've got a very short amount of time, you've got to basically come up with the kind of like you've got your idea and you've just got to go with it. Even if you're halfway through it, you can't sort of think like just abandon it. You've got to kind of just go with it, and that can lead to some really interesting things where like ideas you may have originally kind of like just sort of like leave to the waste, sort of like to the side, but you just keep going with that and make it as good as you can make it, I guess. So I guess do you find that there was an interesting challenge with having that kind of 12-hour sort of time frame?
I would say absolutely. And,
Yeah.
especially in our second build, because of the fact that, again, we had this huge surface area. We had the fundamental idea of what we wanted to do, a park scene. We have, the dinosaurs breaking through. We had that piece of the story that was the true events of what happened, in that scene. But then, when you're looking in this case to fill space, what it caused me to do is say, okay, we need to add more story. And so I don't think that in the small amount of time that, the camera was on our build, that it really was able to capture all of them. There were tons of mini stories happening on that board. You had a kid who was being spun crazily on the merry-go-round. There was a lady that had run away from her grill and was still holding her little chicken wing. There was
the argument at the hot dog stand.
There was the hot dog stand. There was the basketball player who dunked at the exact time that the dinosaur was coming through. And so this build, I really had to keep drawing from that well, if you will, to say, okay, what else might happen in this crazy scenario that we have built? What else might one see if this really played out? And it was cool what we were able to come up with, all the way down to the little food truck that was in the parking lot, with a line of people that all of a sudden were distracted because there were huge dinosaurs everywhere. So, and that was a lot of fun.
Right.
Well, thank you so much. This has been really great. We could just I could easily talk for hours, but obviously I know we've got the time for it. But thank you so much. It was again really amazing contestants. I really enjoyed watching the builds that you created, and this is great. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
So I was I got to say that I really loved your dynamic throughout the series, and it was such a joy watching you. And I think one of the highlights of the series so far was that in the second round when like you were talking, sort of explaining the story behind your build, and I just loved the like enthusiasm and just the amount of thought that went into it. And it just kind of really reinforces that idea that it brings in your inner like child. Lego just does that, I think. And I guess one of the things I was wondering about, do you see yourselves as maybe like trendsetters, like in terms of like, do you think you're going to see more people like of your age sort of like going into building, or have you actually encountered like other people as well that are like similar age to you?
Well, I was really pleased to see that Lego promo that came out with the older folks building Lego. I don't know if you've seen that yet. The 89-year-old people and things like that. I thought it was wonderfully made and things like that. Be kind of interesting to see. We never explored that. Not that we're going to go that route, but or maybe think ourselves about for assisted living and things like that. I mean, boy, it'd be kind of neat to be the forerunners of bringing Lego into we're the Lego masters for these assisted living places versus the bingo masters. Um, we still are holding our hopes out for a daytime TV slot for seniors. Maybe with Pat Sajak hosting or somebody, or somebody really old and slow. We'll maybe build a little, a little city build with 100 pieces, for the next hour. How to do decoupage on your Lego or something like that. No, I don't know. Again, we did touch on the fact that what a great influence we've had on kids in our neighborhood communities and things like that. We'll just kind of see where it goes. It's all been really kind of delightful surprise for all of us. Yeah, maybe that we can kind of challenge the fact that, my dad is retired, I was so busy in the corporate world. Maybe I need to go pick up some Legos, and maybe my dad and I will just, my mom and I will just spend a weekend together building Lego. That kind of parent kind of thing. Who knows what we can, it's certainly a platform that I think bears some exploring. Not that I think that's something we can be intentional about it or non-intentional about it, but I'd love to see that whole spark that maybe we created a whole Lego renaissance with some of these older folks.
It is nice, Kerry. I think you hit on something, so I'm going to go ahead and be commercial and throw this at you. The Grandpappies present Lego for Seniors. Let's get busy on that thought. That's one thing that several friends of mine have said to me. Patrick, you should take your show on the road to some of the senior centers that are around and get involved with that. It seems like that opportunity to work with youngsters is the mindset of the community. And there's a whole world of folks out there that are my age and Kerry's age that would dearly love to work with Lego. And maybe we need to focus on some of that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. I can say this, as far as me with Lego and my intensity, I'll tell a cute little story. My grandparents raised me fishing. It is often given that when an old guy retires, he's going to spend his days fishing. Well, guess what? I made a decision years ago that I've fished enough in my lifetime. I'm going to play Lego. And it keeps me young, it keeps me fresh and having fun. And perhaps I need to share that a little bit more. I need to open that up. So while I'm thinking about inviting kids over, maybe I need to invite some seniors over and say, come on, let's build something.
That's right. Build some Lego, eat some pimento cheese sandwiches, and all that kind of old stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
But I wanted some coffee and donuts, Kerry. I wanted pimento cheese.
Yeah. So would you like some deviled eggs? And can I make you an egg salad sandwich while we're building Lego? Yeah, okay. No, great insight. I mean, I think you're onto something there. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think that I'd definitely be on board on a show hosted by you guys. I think that sounds like a really good idea. And just waiting for that to be pitched now. But I guess my next question would be how do you find it, like, going into the studio and like having that kind of that sort of 12, or the last episode, it was the 11-hour kind of like time frame you got to sort of like come up with something, and also not really being in your kind of your usual kind of like your own personal studio where you've got everything laid out the way that you kind of like sort of choose. How do you find that kind of sort of challenge?
I'll use 3 words: dream come true, because my Lego room is not as organized as it should be. I'm working on it. I work on it daily. It keeps me busy. But going into that studio and knowing that the brick pit was all organized and you could go here and grab what you need, your mind just goes in a million directions. What am I going to do? What pieces am I going for? We decide upon something we're going to build, but in the back of your mind is, all right, what pieces what parts, what bricks is it going to take to create this? And you have so much to choose from. It can be a little bit intimidating, but I'm really glad that we can get in there and it's so organized and get what we need and put it into action. The length of the day, I guess I found myself not wanting the day to be over with. I don't, what do you mean I can't build anymore? What is that, bricks down? You keep yelling. I don't want to do that. It is just, it's marvelous. It's a wonderful thing. It has inspired me to do more about becoming more organized with what I'm doing. And in some of the projects that I'm working on, I don't have the pieces to make this what I wanted to make. So I go out on Bricklink and find that part and get a few of them and experiment with it. I've got a big container over here of parts that I thought I would use that I'm not going to. They'll get used on something else in the future. And such was the same with the brick pit. There were so many parts there that we didn't use. It's where is this? Why is there not this piece anywhere around here? But the organization of it was definitely a positive. Definitely a positive. I think, I know I, for one, Kerry maybe just a little bit too, got a little grabby on a lot of the bricks and our build table was getting cluttered. Amy did look at us and say, do you guys, when you work at home, is your work area always this cluttered? And the first thing I said was, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It absolutely was, but it's just more fun than we thought we were going to get to have. And I would love to go back. I know that that's not the format, but maybe one day a reunion show. I have some thoughts on that I'll share with someone one of these times.
You just share this whole joy of, because everybody around you is creating, everybody's sharing, you're sometimes you're so head down you don't even look up to even see what people are building, until you take a break, off camera and you walk by, but you didn't really ever have time to really stop and to talk to anybody. I think we're all kind of tired, and quite honestly, I think for the first time we're seeing what everybody's builds look like on TV, because you remember we have our backs to them while they're doing the presentations. We don't get to see the builds up close or anything like that. So, we're seeing it just as for really honestly for the first time as just as you guys are. That's why we're all kind of wanting to see a little more detail. Certainly that's why I enjoyed the Australian version, because, number one, it's less teams and a longer show. You actually see more of the build process and things like that. Certainly it's a different audience, different kind of setup. We all share and enjoy creating, but we don't ever really get to see, I think, the finished result until the show airs and things like that. On the other hand, I mentioned earlier, Drew and Miranda, they have so much talent that I would love to see what, they could have built, 3, 4, 5 episodes in, because I've seen some of their work at some of these Lego shows, and they're amazing. They're amazing, talented builders for being so young as well, and charming people on top of that. So I don't know. I think that's why they have Lego conventions, that we can actually sit and talk and admire and walk around, and then come back the next day, walk around some more, take some more photos and things like that. And then seeing you guys doing the interviews and dissecting these builds and sharing the background. Again, you guys do bring the service that a great service that we don't ever get to see being on set or being on the show itself. So again, you guys fill in the gaps really, really nicely. So that's it. We just have fun building. That's all.
I guess as well, just sort of continue from what you were just saying then about when you like sort of table is kind of like, if it's like a big mess and like, as you're sort of building stuff, I think that's a big part of the fun. I think it's just like making an absolute mess, and then amongst that mess you make something that is like really great. But yeah, I guess my next question would be something that I just find like really kind of inspiring, just about like, I guess like these conventions, and just like something that's kind of actually like real, is like getting to see people, like-minded people in real life, and that's like, I think it's suddenly you're kind of like you're with your people, aren't you? And it's like a really amazing experience to kind of to share that. And yeah, what is it like going to that when you kind of like you're kind of meeting all these people who are kind of sort of sharing the same kind of things, really. Yeah.
Well, it's pretty humbling. I mean, you certainly there's no place for certainly any kind of cockiness or anything. I think you walk with a grateful attitude that you're even in this position. But I think if anything, I was with one of the other Lego contestant from season 1 or 2, I forget. Maybe it was Corey or Mel, that everybody in the audience is a Lego master. Um, the amount of talent, you just walk in, you just learn so much. There's a guy, one of my heroes that I've been following for the last couple of years, Daryl Bevins. He's an electrician that builds these big city things, and I met him for the first time. Super humble guy. And he's just sharing his knowledge about lighting and building big on scale and things like that. And so everybody knows each other. We're a part of this big community, and it was kind of neat to meet everybody for the first time in public. I think it's going to be the same kind of thing when Patrick and I get to see you guys out in the field, so to speak. We can't wait to see that happen. But I think we always have to be in a posture of learning. I mean, none of us are, I think really maybe the reason why some of these contestants are still going to these Lego shows is just to learn, in addition to bring encouragement or be encouraged, that stay creative and things like that. But again, I'm just blown away about how much talent is out there. And if there's anything we can do to be an influence on that or help foster people, to encourage them to express that talent, whether it's on TV or in your community or in your relationships or within interpersonal relationships with your family. I think we all, as contestants on Lego Masters, I think we have a responsibility to that. And Patrick and I are seeing that firsthand pretty much immediately with the outreach that we've been getting on with these videos and texts and encouragement and little messages and stuff like that. It's a big deal. It's something that we will be forever grateful for, and something we can never certainly be cocky about. We're just grateful to be on this show and all the responsibilities and accolades it'll bring as well. So great question though. It's something that it's one of those questions you have to kind of think about every day to stay humble. So thank you for that. So Patrick?
Being the newcomer that I am to this, I have been fortunate enough to do a few shows. I can remember when I first found out about Brick Fair in Virginia, and they have an advertisement out there to show your creation to the world, because it's just outside Washington, D.C. And a lot of people will consider Washington, D.C. the capital of the world. And I said, I've got to go there. So that was my first deal. I was a little miffed because I didn't get an award or even nominated for an award, but it was because I overlooked the fact that I was supposed to put that mock card they gave me with the number on it on my build, so they would know that I wanted to be nominated for something. So it was my own undoing. As I was so excited about putting it together, I missed out on that. The second Brick Fair that I did was in Alabama a few months later, and I did get the most iconic award for the same build that I showed there. I've met wonderful people. I can't wait to get to see those folks again. There's some folks that I've met that have been at every show that I've done that actually joined the Tennessee Valley Lego Club, even though they're not in Tennessee, because they wanted to belong to the same lug that I belong to. And we just have a good time. It's a reunion now, going from show to show and seeing people that you've seen before. And it is an absolute joy meeting new people, getting to talk to them about Lego. one of my first questions that I'll ask somebody after I answer their questions is, do you build? And when they say, yeah, I get real excited and say, okay, what do you build? Do you have some pictures? Will you tell me about it? And try my best to shut up and let them talk about what they love doing a little bit so I can learn. Youngsters, oh man, I just need to go watch a bunch of youngsters build stuff because, wow, that creativity blows me away. I'm out here scrambling in the dark for an idea. And like my little grandson, one day he said, Grandpa, this is a outer space shopping center. And he showed me this thing he put together out of just plain bricks. And he started pointing to these things that I would never have any idea that that's what that was. But to hear him describe it with such enthusiasm, I'm going, oh, wow. And sometimes on my Instagram, I'll put a picture out there of something that Luke built and said, my 6-year-old grandson built this. And I'll get more interactions off that sometimes than I do some of mine. If you want to see what brought me into this whole world, I decided that to really be impressive at a show, you need to build something with wow factor. And since I'm Star Wars, but I like to create my own stories, and I really, really watch the battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin on Mustafar and seeing all these volcanic explosions and everything, I decided that I was going to build Mustafar. In the end result of it, my build is fits in an 8 by 10 foot thing. It sits on a platform, it's on a table, and it's built around that. And it is a Mustafar with a volcanic mountain going almost all the way to the floor. And it's my own story, and it is we all know the Sith never give up. And so the Sith have reestablished a base on Mustafar where they've created unspeakable evil. They're making Vader clones because they say Vader's DNA. And there was something on Mustafar that they needed to do that. And if you want to see it, and I'll be that, you can go to Beyond the Brick TV. I know y'all know that YouTube channel, and search Beyond the Brick Mustafar, and you can see an almost 17-minute version of me in cosplay explaining the story from my very first visit to Brick Fair in Virginia almost 2 years ago. So go look at it. I've only got about a little less than 250,000 views in just a skosh over a year. I need some more views. I'd like to hit 500,000. You influencers. You didn't know this was going to turn into a commercial about one of my bills.
Yeah.
Kerry's rolling his eyes at me.
No, is this still a 1 hour podcast? So.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm having fun. This could be all day long as far as I'm concerned. I'm down here in my room. All the windows are covered. I don't know if it's day or night outside. And I'm getting to act like a big kid. So yeah, let's keep on with that. I vote for it.
Well, I will. Yeah, all the viewers at home. Yeah, I'll have to recommend that video. I'll put it in the description.
Thank you.
But yeah, thank you so much, guys. This has been really great. Yeah, it's been a real joy watching you on the show, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you so much.
I have a question before you go, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Love that accent. I'm going to guess you're from somewhere British. And where are you from, and how old are you?
So yeah, I'm from Cornwall, which is in the very sort of south of the UK, and I'm 22.
22. Well, way to go, man! Oh man! Oh man! I was DJing in dance clubs when I was 22. That was as far as my ability or inspiration with what I'm going to do for the rest of my days went. But then there was no internet back then. I think maybe there might have been some dinosaurs roaming the earth back when I first started to DJ. Maybe that's why I had fun with it and so talkative about the Jurassic World. But thank you. 22 years old. My congratulations. Wow. I'm inspired and impressed and inspired.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. Well, yeah, just before I head off, I gotta say that I do relate to what you said before about, like, you know, kids to get to a certain age where they kind of either they kind of think that they're too cool for or too old for like Lego, and they kind of just like leave it, or they kind of just sort of continue. I definitely got to the age where I was just about to kind of, I think I was like about 14. I was like, yeah, I'm too old to play with this now. But I got really into doing stop motion videos. Basically, I do animations with Lego. And just at that point, I was like, I've managed to hold on to a little bit of like the kid that was still in me. And yeah, I'm just continuing on from that. Basically, I'm still playing.
Great.
Oh,
I love it. I love hearing that. So thank you.
he nailed us, Kerry. We're holding on to that kid inside us.
Yeah.
That's it. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. This has been brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hi. I'm William of Bricks in Motion, and I just wanted to say that before I start that I just finished watching episode 3 before I got onto the started joining this, and the surprise, it's still a surprise to me that new contestants of the show, but I guess one of the things I wanted to kind of start off with was when it comes to your process, what are your kind of main things you kind of get you into kind of coming up with new ideas and stuff like that?
Is this just in terms of mock building in general, or mock building towards the show?
Oh yeah, just like your general kind of mock building process. Yeah.
General kind of mock building. It just comes down to, for me at least, just a great idea, something that I know I have enough parts to start on, because I do find it quite discouraging. Like, I'm not going to try to build a Geonosis from Star Wars when I have less than 200 dark orange pieces. That's just something I'm not going to put my time into. But if I have enough to do a forest, then I'll probably build a forest if an idea warrants it good enough. When it comes down to time and stuff. But I think that kind of wraps up that question on my end. I know Ethan, you built a lot more mocks than I do. So
I would say, I find inspiration in really as much as I can, because I love coming up with a lot of ideas. So I try to find inspiration in everything that I can. I would say sci-fi movies are definitely one of the things that I find inspiration most, like Dom said, with Star Wars and Marvel, and just especially in the older ones as well. And also, video games, or just walking, look, for instance, like going to a grocery store, or, just a random places, throughout your normal life, I guess. And one thing that I guess is a newer thing that I've kind of, I guess, learned within just the last couple of months was there's this thing called what is it called? Art, like AI, like you basically AI image generator. That's something that I've.
Oh yeah, Dolly, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I've been using. Yeah. Where I've been typing random words and it creates this image, and recreating that image is really cool. That's I'd say something I've been doing recently. So AI image generator, I see it being a thing that builders do. Whether it's a character or a castle, that's a way to, I guess, get your ideas in your head kind of out in, I guess, the digital or physical form, so you can see it or show your idea to your teammate or whatever. But yeah, it's one of those things that I really would love to do in the future. But movies, regular life, and artificial AI.
That's actually really interesting. The concept of this kind of untapped sort of potential of AI, and essentially making sort of AI generated real life mocks, I guess, to in a sort of roundabout way, which is very interesting. Yeah.
Because builder's block is the worst.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing I wanted to ask actually is because obviously with the when you're building your mocks at home, you're kind of working with the limitations, and that to an extent is very much part of the kind of creative process, and it can help with your creativity. What is it like going from having your own time and doing all of that to basically being in this studio where you've got such a limited amount of time, but you've got just any Lego piece that you could choose from? I imagine that being a pretty quite a big challenge.
Surprisingly, the brick pit honestly feel like Ethan and I both said this. It feels like a 3 years like dated back, outdated, which makes sense because the show's been running for 3 some odd years. So there's a lot of like the newer parts that Ethan and I thrive on and love, like some of the newer slopes and some of the newer snot bricks and like some of the newer hinge pieces, like the smaller ones, that we love and we use in our builds all the times, were absent from the brick pit. So it, like, you know, nice part usage. A lot of people, I feel like, in my opinion, like they'll find a piece that are like, oh, that's a cool piece, I'm gonna throw it in this mock. When everything is so neatly organized, you're not seeing that piece out of the corner of your eye. You're just seeing all these bricks and plates. So I feel like, although we have a huge access to like almost any brick imaginable and in huge quantities, it feels like you're missing out on creative opportunities when you're in a pinch for trying like to build something if you don't have that piece.
I would say the brick pit teaches you, you know, let's say for instance, you need to make a circle. You know, it's always good to have 3 or 4 different ways how to make that circle, just because if the brick pit doesn't provide that type of part, you can do plan B or plan C. So you can always have, you know, plan A, plan B, plan C, you know, I'd say the only way is really experience. Like if there's not a piece on the brick pit that you need, find another solution. That's where I guess NPU nice parts usage takes place, where finding a unique way that a part that you would have never thought of using, but use it for something weird.
Yeah, I mean that's always really fun as well. I think, like, you know, if you use a kind of alternative piece that's like you like is not the kind of the you know the immediate piece you kind of think of as being used for that kind of thing, but then it ends up being just as good, if not better, you know, for it.
Mm-hmm. Like one piece that I absolutely love using are tires and kind of reversing them. That's one thing that I see in a lot of my mocks behind me. I tend to use tires.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess another question I'd like to ask is, with the because obviously, you know, when it comes to like the online side of things, you know, it's going from that to being like, you know, in person. I'm not sure like what your kind of your history is with going to actual like conventions and like, you know, the real life events and stuff, but there is something really special about just like the way that, like, you know, meeting people in real life versus just online. And I feel like you kind of get this sort of sense of like you're with your people to an extent. And I've had that just recently. You know, I had this kind of meet up with people, and it's yeah, it really feels like special. I'd say.
Yeah,
That's
there's a
cool.
sense of, like, when you're meeting someone online, when you know someone online for so long and you build that relationship, when you meet them in person, there's a sense of familiarity. Is that even a word? There's a familiar feeling with that person, and you kind of just skip the hi, I'm so and so. You're like, oh, let's go look at this mock, or you know, that stuff.
Someone like, for instance, when Dom came down, and I met him for the first time. You know, we've known each other online for, you know, a year before we met, but there was an instant connection, which was really cool. We had Whataburger. It was amazing.
It was so good. I never had Whataburger. It was so good.
It's a fast food place, and mostly it's just Texas.
Think of McDonald's, but like 1,000 times better.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think I hadn't heard of that. I was thinking then like literally like a water burger. I was wondering what what that'd be. But no, I do find as well, like the experience I've found is just like you're meeting someone for the first time, like in real life. But you're not having to kind of go through all the kind of explaining of like what it is you do. Like straight away you already get like all of the kind of like complicated like exposition, I guess, that you have to go through of like, oh yeah, I do this and I do that and I do this because of this. So it's like, well, straight away with people who like know exactly kind of like what you do, and they kind of do the same thing, and that kind of thing is quite special as well. Yeah. So I guess like one last question I'd ask, what is your favorite kind of, I guess, Lego theme in particular, like if there's like a classic theme or like pretty much anything really, I guess.
For me, it's tricky because my favorite Lego theme that they put out is Lego Star Wars, but when it comes to original Lego ideas, like Lego original Lego IPs, it's Bionicle, but that's it's Bionicle. But then after that, I'd say probably like Adventurers or like some of the older themes I'm really into. I know I really like the modular lines and like the icons and the ideas, just more of that like advanced building technique stuff. And then I'm also a huge fan of like older Lego themes, like Adventurers and Aquazones and Westerns and Spyrius, all that jazz, Ninja.
I mean, I'm honestly, I agree with them. Star Wars has a special place in my heart just because I grew up watching the movies and collecting the sets, and it's Star Wars is probably my favorite. But most recently, that's probably my favorite theme. But I also really like Lego Ideas, just because it's always what is the next Lego idea set, and it's also there's a chance that if you ever post on Lego Ideas that your mock can become an official set. I just love the concept of Lego Ideas. And maybe one day I can post one of my ideas on Lego Ideas and maybe it will come set, who knows. But I really like Lego Ideas. There's a lot of idea sets that I really like.
You just announced one today.
I saw that. That was cool. It was the foosball table. That's cool.
I wish it was a little bit bigger, but it's pretty cool.
I agree, but it's still cool. But again, my favorite set is Ninjago City Garden. So how I put it is, Lego Star Wars is my favorite theme. I really like Lego Ideas, but my favorite Lego set is Ninjago City Gardens.
That's not confusing at all. Thank you.
Yeah, those are excellent picks, though. Yeah, the Ninjago City Gardens is like just an incredible set. And seeing that when it first came out, like that's just like a whole city in like this build is just what an incredible concept. But I think as well, like with Lego Ideas is such a excellent theme as well. Just like I think some of my favorite sets like they've come out from that. I think in the last few years, and it's always exciting just seeing like when they announce the new ones for each year, to seeing what comes out. But I guess we'll kind of leave it to that. But thank you so much for joining us today. And it's also
Thank you.
As of recording this, obviously I've yet to see the episodes with you as a team, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you bring to the show. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. As I said previously in the start of the video, I will be uploading at some point soon the next part of this series where I talk to the exiting contestants of the last couple of weeks. And hopefully this will start becoming kind of a regular, maybe like bi-weekly, something like that kind of series, and for the rest of the season 3 of LEGO Masters. I hope you enjoyed this format, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.